All right, hello everybody. Welcome to our first lesson here in our next unit. This is called A New Wave of Immigrants. This is for our unit Urban America. Our objectives and standards. You will be able to understand the reasons immigrants came to the United States, and you will be able to recognize the impact of immigrants on the United States. And take a moment there to look over the standards as well, please. And our desired result. What changes happened with immigration in the late 1800s? So new immigrants in a new country. There were nearly 25 million people that came to the United States between the years of 1865 and 1914. That should be a capital here, a capital U here. I apologize for the typo there. So that should be a capital U and a capital S. But again, there were nearly 25 million people that came to the United States between the years of 1865 and 1914. Now, a large group of these immigrants came from Europe. During that time, there were also 425,000 Asians that came to the United States, places like Japan and China. Europeans came for many different reasons, such as jobs, land, freedom, and to escape religious persecution as well. And here's a picture of what many European immigrants saw as they came to the United States. Many of them saw the Statue of Liberty, which you see here. Hopefully you recognize that in New York Harbor there. Many of them came on board ships. And as they came into the United States, they saw the Statue of Liberty, which you're probably familiar with. But you can see many different people here, men and women, children, old, young, married or single, whatever the case might have been, many different immigrants coming to the United States at this time. And like I think I told you, I think I mentioned that my grandmother's grandparents came over during this time from Ireland. So the arrival at Ellis Island. A large group of immigrants passed through Ellis Island, a tiny island in New York Harbor. Top picture here, you can see some of the immigrants on Ellis Island with their belongings and things like that. And once there, immigrants were inspected for diseases and asked questions by immigration officials. You can see in the bottom picture here the long line, of immigrants waiting to be questioned or waiting to be processed through Ellis Island. So that was something that they also witnessed as well. They'd be checked for diseases. They would be checked to see if they, what language they spoke. Sometimes their names were changed. Their last names were changed if they were too long. Like I know my name, Sweeter, was changed from a longer name and had some different letters in it to what it is now. So when immigrants came to the country, sometimes their last names were changed to be more American, if you will, quote unquote, instead of where they came from. But they were seen if they had money. They were seen if they had any legal issues, if they were criminals, and if they did have diseases, sometimes they were held up because of that. So if an immigrant could not pass inspection, they may be placed in quarantine, such as they had diseases like I was saying about, or sent back to their home country. Between 1892 and 1954, about 12 million immigrants passed through Ellis Island. Now, new immigration brings new changes. Immigrants from places such as Italy, Greece, Austria, Hungary, again, I apologize for the typo, there should be capital H, Austria, Hungary, Russia, and Serbia made up a large amount of the immigrant population by the late 1890s. Sorry about that. During the old immigration, before 1890, many immigrants came from Western and Northern Europe, such as England, Germany, Ireland, Scotland, places like that. So we see a new group of Europeans coming to the United States in the late 1800s. Okay, so in the late 1800s, of the new immigration, more people came from Eastern and Southern Europe. Okay, new immigrants changed American cities and American culture. Cities boom with immigrants. Many immigrants settled in cities such as New York City, New York, Chicago, Illinois, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and Detroit, Michigan. Even Philadelphia, Pennsylvania as well, many immigrants came to. Now, immigrants had various jobs and professions, but many worked in factories as well. Again, I've told you about my family history with my great-great-great-grandfather working in a factory and things like that, and then getting injured and sick and dying from that, but many immigrants did work in factories as well. They settled into ethnic groups and established neighborhoods, such as maybe you've heard of Little Italy, or Chinatown, right, in different parts of cities. And they were established because immigrants would move into those areas, and that's where they would live and settle and get, because they knew each other and they knew each other's culture and language. So that's how those areas got established. Or we have the Jewish Lower East Side. Many set up their own clubs, activities, and newspapers. The change in population also brought a change in religion with the growth of Catholicism with the arrival of new immigrants, and this is going to upset some people, as we'll see in the next lesson here. Other immigrants traveled to the Great Plains instead of cities and settled as farmers or ranchers. So immigrants from Asia. Following the United States Civil War, many Asians immigrated to the United States. We talked about how many Chinese came in and worked on the railroad, right? So high unemployment, poverty, and famine in China caused many Chinese to come to America. Japanese immigrants also came to the United States, but in smaller amounts. Many Chinese immigrants settled in western cities, especially in San Francisco, California. Chinese immigrants worked as servants, laborers, merchants, or on the railroad, like I just previously mentioned and you've learned about. 1910, California opened Angel Island, which you see here, part of that picture here, okay, to process Asian immigrants, very similar to Ellis Island. But immigrants from Asia, mostly young men, were crammed into barracks where they waited to see if they could enter the United States. So Angel Island, a little more difficult than Ellis Island, but still an immigration station for Asian immigrants to come to the United States as well. All right, our closure again. What changes happened with immigration in the late 1800s? Think about the different groups of people that are coming to the United States. Why are they coming to the United States? And how are they settling into the United States? What problems or things are they dealing with in the United States? All right, and that'll help you answer your questions. Hope you have a great rest of your day or night. Please let me know if you have any questions or concerns, and I hope to talk to you all soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.